Hi everyone, this has been B007 back for another 10-minute spoiler-free movie review, and today I'm talking about a big glossy film that came to the London Film Festival on a wave of audience love, and that is Brooklyn, based on the romantic drama, a novel by Colm Toibin, and full of a wonderful cast, including Saoirse Ronan, who you'll know from Atonement and Hannah in the title role, Donald Gleeson as her love interest back in Ireland, and Emery Cohen as her love interest in her new home in Brooklyn. It also has a supporting cast of Julie Walters, Jim Broadbent, and many other people of that quality. So, on paper at least, this looked like a really great novel and a really great film. I haven't read the novel, but because it's written by an author that I admire, I had sort of thought it would be more than just a sort of Barbara Taylor Bradford superior chick lit novel. But I'm afraid to say that, as it appears on screen, that's exactly what Brooklyn is. In fact, it felt to me just like a very posh, very well-cast version of one of those Danielle Steele movies of the afternoon that you find on the Lifetime channel. I was really disappointed. Which is not to say that it isn't well acted and well put together in a sort of efficient way. It's just that I had expected so much more from this film. But anyway, instead of talking about what this movie isn't, let me tell you a little bit about what this movie is. It's a film set in post-war Ireland, where there are very few economic opportunities, and many people are leaving for other countries to get a better life for themselves. And our heroine is a young girl called Ailish, and she lives with her elder sister and her mother. And her elder sister, through a contact with a parish priest in New York, manages to get Ailish both a visa and a job, which is apparently quite unheard of. So she tearfully boards the boat to Brooklyn and meets a very racy, confident Irish woman who's become American. And she gives her all sorts of advice. And she lands in Brooklyn. And I have to say, it's a far less troubled and gritty immigrant story than I was used to on film, because, as I said, the parish priest has arranged everything for her. So the worst of her worries are the slightly bitchy housemates in her new boarding house that's run by Julie Walters' character, who's absolutely hilarious, and just navigating over her homesickness and shyness working as a shop girl in a very glossy department store. So the first half of the film basically sees her overcome her homesickness, start studying to become a bookkeeper, which is quite radical in that period, and finding love in the shape of an Italian-American played by Emery Cohen, who, it kept bugging me where I knew him before, and it's from The Place Beyond the Pines. He plays one of the sons in that. Anyway, so he's this very charming, very simple guy who is willing to overlook the fact that she's Irish. And they fall in love, and it's very sweet, and it tells you a lot about different immigrant groups in the US at that time, I guess, and also the fact that he's a plumber and obviously not very well educated, and she is a bookkeeper, and he lives in fear of her going away and never coming back. And then, for certain reasons, she does go back to Ireland, and rather than the bleak place that Ailish left, in this iteration of Ireland, she has a job. There's a guy played by Donald Gleeson who is a really good prospect, everyone keeps telling her, and he's interested in her. And so really the second half of the film is a film about the things that pull on the heart. Is she going to sit back in her small town in Ireland, which does feel like home, even for all its small town gossip, or is she going to go back to her new life and look forward? And that's pretty much it, I'm afraid to say. I think that there's less social comment than I would have expected. There's less period detail. Apparently this film was not filmed in New York, and I think you can sort of tell. And as much as Ailish is a charming young girl, and I'm fascinated, well, I'm not fascinated, that's a lie, and I'm kind of sort of interested in her story and wish her well, it just isn't enough to hold my interest over 2 hours. And the fact that ultimately this is just a film about a woman choosing between two men feels somehow simplistic and retrograde in the context of a festival that's had far more complicated movies and themes and stories to be told, even if they're love stories. So I'm not sure if that's the fault of a book. I rather think not, because I just have far more respect for the author. And in which case, I guess we have to look at the people who actually made this film. So the director is John Crowley, who directed Boy A. And I think that, you know, it is a very fast-paced film. He doesn't hang about. It's very, nonsense. Some of the period furnishings are very pretty. I mean, the way he depicts the boat is very cool. So I can't fault him for that. And I can't also, I guess, fault him for the fact he didn't have budget. So you don't get the standard shot of her turning up on Ellis Island. And the screenwriter is Nick Hornby. So I'm not sure if maybe he's pared away too much from the source novel. Either way, I think this is a very thin movie, and I think there's very heavy foreshadowing. When certain plot twists occur, it's very clear that they're going to happen. I don't know. I think my overriding feeling is that Saoirse Ronan is a far better actress than this movie has allowed her to be. There's nothing wrong with her in this film, but it's just straightforward. And I kind of feel the same for Donald Gleeson as well. Maybe if I'd have watched it in a normal week when this was the only film I watched, I would have rather liked it. But in the context of a film festival where there is so much more challenging and provocative and interesting things going on screen, this film fell very flat indeed. I'm so sorry to say that. But if you've seen Brooklyn, and I'm sure many fans of the novel will, and agree or disagree with my take, please feel free to leave a comment on the blog at b007.com.